That may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
All right, guys, I have no idea how we have already gone through 11 weeks, but somehow we are going into week 12. Really time to gear up for our fantasy football playoffs. But let's take a step back. Let's recap week 11. Let's talk about 10 lessons that we learned. And honestly, there were so many storylines going on in week 11 that maybe we throw in some extra players near the end just because I have a ton that we need to talk about. And as always, guys, this is your time to roast me. This is your time to go down, keep me accountable. Please go to the comment section below. I promise you, my feelings are not going to be hurt. This is what I want you to do. And let me know the dumbest thing that I said, especially if I had a dumb explanation behind it, where maybe I said that we were going to play Duke Johnson because he was going to see every single touch in the backfield. Really, stuff like that, please go let me hear it. Let everyone else know how stupid I am. Really looking forward to what y'all have to say. All right, so now let's get into it. Let's not waste too much time, and let's jump into our first lesson learned, and that is Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb are going to be okay in this Dallas Cowboys offense. Now, y'all know that I consistently said throughout week 11 that we were expecting a bounce back from Ezekiel Elliott, Amari Cooper, and CeeDee Lamb, knowing that we had a large sample size from Andy Dalton of him providing average to below average quarterback play in the NFL. And we had a one-game sample of him against the Washington football team a few weeks ago, looking like the worst quarterback in the NFL. We really kind of understood that Andy Dalton was going to provide average quarterback play for this offense. Maybe he came in a little bit below average today, but it does not matter when you are looking at a talent like a CeeDee Lamb, like an Amari Cooper. Both of these guys are going to be able to produce as long as they get that below average to average quarterback play. As long as Andy Dalton does not crumble to become one of the worst starting quarterbacks in the NFL, I think that they are both going to be okay. I mean, they combined for 10 receptions, over 120 yards, 13 targets, and a touchdown this past week. Yes, the production actually looked a little bit nicer than that, though, because CeeDee Lamb went in there with a beautiful 2-point conversion run. It was a lateral from Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, why don't we see plays like that more in the NFL? It seemed like almost impossible to guard against whenever we never see that at the NFL level. Defenses are never looking forward to it. All right, so now let's get to our second lesson learned, and that is Keenan Allen just may be a top 3 wide receiver rest of season. 16 receptions, almost 150 total yards, a touchdown. And if you zoom back and look at what Keenan Allen has been able to provide for us in 2020, and you take out the game we got from Tyrod Taylor, just look at the season with Justin Herbert. He is currently the wide receiver 2 in points per game. I mean, Keenan Allen consistently coming out here and giving you elite production. And when we know that this production is coming off of an insane amount of volume, not necessarily efficiency, that's actually something that's going to be predictable going forward. We're really not going to see a lot of volatility with that, like we talk about with a Tyler Lockett or a player like A.J. Brown. Yes, I still love all of these wide receivers, but Keenan Allen is going to be the player that's a little bit more consistent, because when you're seeing over 10 targets every single game, it's almost impossible for you to fail. All right, so now our next lesson learned is Diontae Johnson is the safest wide receiver in Pittsburgh. This is what we were saying coming into the week, but we were a little bit hesitant behind it, just knowing that Chase Claypool and Juju Smith-Schuster both have fantastic profiles. Regardless, Diontae Johnson coming out here for the second straight week going over 100 yards. This was actually his only second game in his entire NFL career over 100 yards receiving, but that does not matter. What matters is very similar to a Keenan Allen. Diontae Johnson is consistently seeing the volume where he's actually had double-digit targets in almost every single game that he has been active in so far this year. Obviously, if he left early, he was not able to get to that double-digit target mark, but now just back-to-back weeks with the most volume on that team, even with a full-on Chase Claypool breakout. I mean, I really think that Diontae Johnson production is so safe to assume that he's going to be a mid to low-end wide receiver 2 at the very worst every given week. All right, so now our next lesson learned is going over to the running back position, and this is J.K. Dobbins is truly looking like a league winner. Guys, if you've been following this channel since this summer, I love the talent of J.K. Dobbins. I loved the situation that he found himself in after the NFL draft. Just the problem was he was not seeing enough touches in this offense up until this date. But now in a game where we had both Mark Ingram and Gus Edwards, we actually saw J.K. Dobbins come in and get 15 carries, 2 receptions, 85 yards, and a touchdown. Now, obviously, the most important thing is we did not see a ton of usage from either Gus Edwards and Mark Ingram. And knowing that J.K. Dobbins is the 21-year-old rookie running back that is only going to continue to increase his role, only going to continue to get better as his NFL career progresses, I find no reason for this team to go back out and get Mark Ingram or Gus Edwards more involved in this offense when J.K. Dobbins looked so good with the touches he saw. All right, so now our next lesson learned, I kind of want to just brag here for a little bit because y'all know I called him a sell-high player. Everybody absolutely hated me, but James Robinson. Guys, how many times do I have to say this? James Robinson, yes, is one of the most talented running backs in the entire NFL. But when his offense is this bad, when he's playing in the worst offense in the entire NFL, he does not have that access to being a top 5 running back in any given week. We told y'all that Gardner Minshew was the best quarterback in Jacksonville. After 1 week, y'all wanted to come out here and tell me that I was dumb, and I doubled down. I was sending out tweets telling y'all to look at larger sample size rather than hyper-focusing in on one game. Hopefully, this team gets Gardner Minshew back later this season. That way, we can see the offense progress a little bit further. But guys, with the Jacksonville Jaguars schedule, with how bad the offense looks, James Robinson looks like he may just be capped at the very best a high-end running back 2, low-end running back 1, and most likely a low-end running back 2 based on the fact that this offense is going to have a very hard time moving the ball down the field. All right, so now our next lesson learned is James Conner is going to continue to get vultured at the goal line. I mean, what is going on here? What makes Benny Snell so special to see those goal line touches away from a James Conner? James Conner is a bigger-bodied running back who's proven to be a great option at the goal line before. I mean, he was getting vultured by Chase Claypool a couple weeks ago where Claypool was getting those carries, and now we are seeing the same thing from Benny Snell. Guys, what did James Conner do? Please, someone tell me if I am missing something here, because he is still the lead running back on one of the best offenses in the entire NFL, but he is just not providing us that high ceiling because he's not getting any touchdown equity in this offense. Someone, if y'all have an answer for me, go down to the comments. Let me know it. All right, so now our next lesson learned, something that I actually got wrong. It looks like with DJ Moore, talent is just going to win out with this situation. So y'all know coming into 2020, I actually loved DJ Moore. So honestly, I'm kind of happy to see this happening because I have him on so many rosters. But after the first month of the season, we are looking at him really being used only as the vertical threat in this offense. Now he's actually operating all over the football field exactly how we wanted him to be. Yes, Robbie Anderson, I claimed to be the wide receiver 1 for this Carolina Panthers offense coming into the week. That was based off of Robbie Anderson consistently seeing about 8 to 9 targets a game, averaging like 8.5 targets a game. But now DJ Moore, almost 150 total yards, a touchdown, over 10 targets. This is the exact type of performance that we need to completely buy into DJ Moore. Is going to be a wide receiver 2 rest of season. I know that does not sound very aggressive, but guys, go out there, try to rank 24 wide receivers. There are a ton of solid options in the NFL right now. Okay, so now our next lesson learned, a player that was on our sell high list this past week. Jakobi Meyers cannot be trusted. Guys, with Jakobi Meyers, I told y'all that I actually did not mind him as a start this week, as that we had no Julian Edelman. So I thought Jakobi Meyers was going to maintain his role as the wide receiver 1 on this New England Patriots offense. But right now, Jakobi Meyers, 3 receptions, 38 yards, 3 targets. Really don't understand what happened. Please let me know if I'm missing an injury here or something, because this was a wide receiver that came into the week with a 38% team target share over the past month for this New England Patriots offense. No idea where that went. Please let me know if I'm missing an injury. All right, so now our next lesson learned, Jonathan Taylor looks like he is going to be another league winner, just like DeAndre Swift. just like J.K. Dobbins, these rookie running backs are finally showing up. This is why I told you not to start Jonathan Taylor, but definitely do not drop him. Same thing with J.K. Dobbins. We were waiting for this moment. Jonathan Taylor seeing over 25 touches in this offense, going over 100 yards. Yes, he's going to be a little bit volatile. Yes, this was a fantastic matchup against a bad Green Bay Packers run defense, but still, getting the usage here is going to make Jonathan Taylor a very exciting running back rest of season. All right, so now our next lesson learned is it does not matter the matchup. Michael Pittman is going to ball. Michael Pittman going for only 3 receptions, but 66 yards and a touchdown. Really, we've always loved the wide receiver talent. I did not want to start him this week just because I did not believe in the matchup for him, but here it looks like it's not going to matter with Michael Pittman because the talent is so strong. All right, so now our next lesson learned isn't really a lesson, but it's something I need to point out. RIP all Cincinnati Bengals offensive skill position players. Very, very sorry to say this, but now with Joe Burrow out for the year, I find it almost impossible to see them bringing back Joe Mixon from the short-term IR. Ryan Finley came in and off of 10 pass attempts, he had 3 completed passes for a total of 30 yards, no touchdowns, and an interception. I mean, the offensive line is horrendous. I'd be surprised if Ryan Finley lasts the entire season. So guys, you cannot start anybody from Cincinnati right now. Really, RIP. All right, so now our next lesson learned is Todd Gurley is completely dead. This is what I've been saying over the past few weeks now, that Todd Gurley was only relying on that touchdown volume. He's been lucky to find a touchdown pretty much every single week this season to save his day, but now he does not find it. 8 carries, a reception, 29 yards. Really, this is what we were talking about with Todd Gurley. Not a special running back at this point in his NFL career. The offense isn't there. If he doesn't have a touchdown, he's not going to be close to helping you in your starting lineup, and he's going to be killing you. All right, so now our next lesson learned is Travis Fulgham is droppable. I don't know how many times I had to beat the drum that Jalen Reagor was the wide receiver 1 on this offense. I named Travis Fulgham as a sell-high candidate for the past, I want to say 3 weeks now. Just a player we wanted nothing to do with. Getting 7 targets this game, but amounting a total of zip with it. Travis Fulgham, just get him off your roster. Okay, so now our last lesson learned. I was really sweating myself halfway through this game because Justin Jefferson had not done anything, but it looks like both Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen can thrive in this Minnesota Vikings offense, and this is based off the fact that they have no other options that they're looking at in the wide receiver group outside of Jefferson and Thielen, combining for over 200 yards, over 10 receptions off of 16 targets this past week. Both of these wide receivers look like they can be great options rest of season. Now, thank you guys. I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. I really hope y'all got something from it. As always, go down to the comment section. Let me know the dumbest thing that I told you this past week. Let me hear it. Tear into me. That's all I got, guys. Really hope y'all had a great week 11, and let's grind our way to the fantasy football playoffs, and let's take home that championship and take home some money. I'll see y'all in the videos and the live stream tomorrow night.